888-72323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. That means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Saints in pads today. LSU just 3 days away from cranking up fall camp. So we've got a ton to talk about, and we are fired up. You are starting your work week off with us. We certainly appreciate it here at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Sonny Shipp in 15 minutes. Bayou Splash. I can't talk. Got 2 hours to do it. Better figure it out.
In there.
Sonny Shipp and the Bayou Splash. We'll talk about it coming up in 15 minutes from right now. Dennis Allen meeting with the Saints media in Irvine as we speak. We'll talk about that with Sean Fazan in the second hour coming up at 2:30. There's a list on ESPN.com, the top 25 college football players of the 21st century. That's something I'd like to dabble in as well. And Skenes and Bregman from the Juice Box over in Houston later on. We'll chat briefly about that as well. I do want to start today with the New Orleans Saints as they've concluded the non-padded portion of training camp, kind of gotten everybody up to speed, minimal injuries that we've seen thus far. And today they went ahead and put on shoulder pads, helmets, and leg pads, full pads for today. And it's really time to push off the dock and see where everyone stands. I want to start here speaking about the Saints pass rush. Last year, the Saints pass rush was freaking putrid. Whether you look at sacks, pass rush win rate, pressures, knockdowns, hurries, whatever metric you want to go to, you will find the Saints in the bottom third of the NFL in terms of rushing the passer. They were terrible at it. By now, you know that Cam Jordan had his least productive season as a pro. By now, you know that Isaiah Foskey was not a huge factor in what Saints tried to do last year as a second-round pick. Peyton Turner got hurt again. It was really Carl Granderson and not much else. And the hope is that there's a little bit more to that position group this year. Now, we'll talk about that here moving forward, but let's start with Dennis Allen back on Friday talking about how the pass rush has not been good enough.
Obviously, the pass rush is an area that we've got to improve on. Look, our standard is what our standard is, and we've set a high standard around here defensively in terms of what we expect. And there's nobody on our defense that's going to shy away from that. And so, from that standpoint, yeah, we've got to be a lot better, and I think the pass rush is part of it. Our ability to finish on the quarterback has got to be part of it.
No doubt. Got to get to the quarterback to win in the NFL. If you don't, you got no chance. You let these guys, as good as they are, go to work, they're going to beat you. And the Saints played as awful a quarterback gauntlet as you could possibly have in the NFL last year. Bryce Young, Tommy DeVito, washed up Ryan Tannehill. It was just awful. And the Saints still weren't great at getting back there and affecting the passer. You've got a first-round pick in Cam Jordan, who's past his prime. You've got a first-round pick, second pick overall in Chase Young. You've got a first-round pick that you took 28th overall in Peyton Turner. You've got a second-round pick in Isaiah Foskey. All these guys came in with a lot of acclaim. But the guy that's been the best, and that is the best pass rusher on your team right now, we think, is Carl Granderson, who was undrafted. He was undrafted in 2019. Last year, he made 17 starts for you. He had 8.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. He was your best edge defender last year, no question about it. And Dennis Allen spoke to the development it takes to bring in an undrafted player like that and have that kind of a year in the NFL.
Here's what I would say about Carl. Carl comes to work every day and gives us everything he has. And so when you watch his development from when he first got here, 230 pounds to now he's 280-something pounds, from a guy that didn't really know whether the ball was pumped or stuffed to now a guy that's understanding different, blocking schemes and recognizing pre-snap formations and what type of plays that he can anticipate. and then reacting to the ones that aren't what we might anticipate. But that comes through a lot of effort and hard work on his part, both physically and mentally. And I think that's where you see guys improve, and that's what Carl's done.
And that's not an unlikely story. Every single year, across every organization, there's an undrafted player who comes in, makes the team, and becomes a really strong player. That's a huge part of the lifeblood of the National Football League. The guys who are first and second round picks get the acclaim and they're more noteworthy, but there are undrafted free agents all over the league. And so oftentimes you've got guys who excel and have a chip on their shoulder and become really good players, even though they weren't drafted. The question is, once you get a payday, and Carl Granderson signed an extension and is now very, very handsomely paid and has reached a point where not a lot of players in the NFL get, does he still have that type of determination, that type of grit, that type of willingness to be taught and to learn and develop now they signed a big deal?
That's just who he is. It's just what he is. And look, when you train yourself that way, it just becomes a part of your DNA, part of who you are, part of what you're all about. And really, money is not a motivating factor. Motivating factor is intrinsic. What do you want to, what are you pushing yourself to be? Not some sort of extrinsic factor like money or anything like that.
And so now as you look at the Saints' defensive ends and their pass rushers, you have questions across the board. Is Cam Jordan done? Can Peyton Turner stay healthy? Is Isaiah Foskey any good? Is Chase Young healthy and able to get back to what he once was? There are plenty of questions, but really, Carl Granderson's like the one guy you don't really have questions about.
I think Carl's earned the right to, be somebody that we're really going to count on. And I anticipate that we're really going to count on him. I list all those other guys because you got a couple of young guys that haven't produced at a level that we need them to. You have a guy like Cam that's produced at a really, really high level for a long time. And can he still do those things? Can Chase come off the injury and produce at a level that is commensurate with where he was drafted? I think all those guys have variables that you're looking at, whereas Carl's a guy that just continued to improve and improve and improve. He's not coming off any sort of injuries or, anything like that.
I think it's realistic to expect Cam Jordan to be a serviceable player. I think it's realistic for Carl Granderson to post an 8 to 10 sack season. I think it's realistic, quite honestly, and this is just me talking, I think it's realistic for Chase Young to have a good season. Is it 12 sacks? Is it 6 sacks? I'm not sure. But it's realistic for him to have a good season. He's still young. He's super talented. He's big and physical. Like, he should have a good go. And when he's been out on the field, he's had good years. The two guys that haven't really done anything in the NFL are Turner and Foskey. And for the Saints to elevate this position group and for it to become a strength as opposed to a huge question mark and potential liability, at least one of those two guys is going to have to figure it out. And that's what Dennis Allen was talking about on Friday with Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey.
Yeah, I think him and Foskey both are in that boat of, prove it. I think both of them have the ability. Both of them are fully capable, but I think both of them are in the prove it mode.
I was a little taken aback last year at how quickly everyone who covered the Saints, immediately said, yeah, Foskey's not close. I mean, that was like 8 days into camp, TV reporters, podcast hosts, print journalists, whoever you want to talk about. If they were at Saints camp, they were watching and they said, yeah, Foskey's got a long way. It was not like 2 preseason games in. It was not after 2 weeks of the NFL season. It was right out of the chute. And that kind of took me aback a little bit because I look at a guy whose measurables are pretty good, whose productivity at Notre Dame was fantastic. And that's not productivity at junior college levels or Division II. This is Notre Dame. I figured when they took him, I looked at that and I said, well, I don't know a lot about Isaiah Foskey, but that makes a lot of sense. Tons of sacks at Notre Dame, big frame, second round. Looks good to me. And he was nowhere close. And so Dennis Allen spoke about his progress and where they kind of see him as he starts his second year.
Yeah, look, I think I've seen some good things out of him in the first 3 days of camp. And so there's a lot of encouraging signs. The arrow in my mind is pointed up, but we're still at the bottom of the mountain. You know what I mean? We still got another 3,500 feet of climbing. And so, we just got to keep working.
And keep working, they certainly will. I will say this as well. When it comes to Chase Young, I said this last week, I'm a little surprised that he's going as hard as he is early in camp. When we found out about that neck injury and the surgery it was going to require and the time frame, it looked like he might miss a couple of weeks of camp. And I understand there were no pads on other than helmets last week, but you look at the video from camp and you see Chase Young going through the drills and hitting the dummies and popping the sleds and doing all those things, and it surprised me a little bit. So we'll talk to Sean Fazan coming up in an hour and 15 minutes, and we'll get a feel for what Chase Young was able to do today when the full pads went on. But I was encouraged by what they were able to get out of Chase Young just from sitting here halfway across the country looking at video. And Dennis Allen spoke about the evaluation of Young through the first week of camp.
Man, the first time I saw him, he was way bigger than I thought he was going to be. He's huge. I mean, he fits the mold of really what we're looking for. And I think from an athletic standpoint, from a speed standpoint, he's going to bring some stuff to the table for us. So, just from a physical skill set standpoint, I've been highly impressed. I've been highly impressed with his intrinsic motivation to prove himself. That's been cool to see. And so, look, we're anxious to get him involved a little bit more. He went through all the individual drills with the D-line today. We'll slowly incorporate him into some more activity as we keep going, and yet we're going to be smart with him and try not to rush him too much.
So in summation of kind of looking at the Saints edge players here in this segment, I will give you kind of my thoughts, big picture here. I think Carl Granderson's going to be nearly a Pro Bowl caliber player this year. I think he's going to have a great year. I have no worries there. He's not past his prime. He's coming off a great year. He's got a great work ethic. I think he's going to have a really strong year. I think Chase Young will also have a very good year. I think that was a great signing by the Saints. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think you're going to see a guy that's motivated, that's incredibly talented, that just needs to be healthy. And unless there's some sort of injury concern, I expect Chase Young to have a really good year. And those two guys will give the Saints really, really quality play on the edges. I don't have the same confidence in Cam Jordan. I think he can hold up at the point of attack. I think he can stop the run a little bit. I think he's a great leader, and I think it's good that he's on the team. Do I think he's going to bounce back and have 9.5 sacks this year? I don't. I think it's closer to 4. I just don't know that I expect him to have some sort of late career renaissance here. I could be wrong, and I'd love it if I was wrong. That's just what I think today. And I'm just not prepared for anything out of Isaiah Foskey or Peyton Turner. If I had to guess, I would guess that Peyton Turner has a better chance. But we're talking about a guy in Peyton Turner who, over the course of his time in New Orleans, since he was a pick in 2021, has had 3 years of service with the Saints. He has played in 15 games. He has missed 36. Played in 15, missed 36. I cannot trust that is going to get any better. And then Isaiah Foskey, he just may not be good enough. That's just a possibility. I know that Dennis Allen says the arrow's going up. He played in 10 games last year. He had 9 tackles. I hope I'm wrong there. I hope that's just a developmental guy who becomes a better player over time in the NFL. But I think if you're looking at the Saints, Granderson and Young, strong, high-level players. Cam Jordan can give you something. Foskey and Turner, I just can't. I can't trust it. So that's kind of where I am with the Saints at defensive end. All right, if you're looking for Saints content, you can always find it Hunt on Saints on YouTube. All of our Saints content posted there each and every day. Hunt on Saints. Like, subscribe, rate, and review that if you would. We certainly do appreciate it. LSU had a big recruiting weekend in Baton Rouge, the Bayou Splash. The weather wasn't awesome, but it sounds like the weekend was a very, very good one. They also got a commitment for the 2026 class, so we'll talk to Sonny Shipp about all that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you locked in a fantastic interest rate a couple of years ago and not interested in moving to move your interest rate from 2.5 to 6.5, well, that's okay. You can still improve your living situation. You can improve your bathroom. You can do brand new bathroom, customized, start to finish, all of it handled by One Bath and Closets. You can do something simple like a tub to shower conversion as well. On the closet side, look, if you got too much clutter, too much congestion, can't find anything, just it's a mess because you don't have enough room, they can help you out with that as well. It starts with the free consultation. They hand you a questionnaire, kind of see what you have, what you're looking for, and David Duvall and his team will come up with a customized solution to get you in the bathroom or the closet of your dreams. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. You can check them out online, onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Érase una vez un Infinity, diseñado para despertar tu imaginación y desafiarte a soñar, con 3 lujosas filas de asientos. El totalmente nuevo Infinity QX80 de 3 filas.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Skenes inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap the Bayou Splash recruiting event, and we'll head out to Irvine to get a camp update from the Saints. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Monday shows are brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out Trey Beal and the folks at Gulf Coast. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them all your printing, scanning, copying needs. It is Gulf Coast Office Products. Bayou Splash was this past weekend, kind of the last hurrah here before camp starts on a recruiting front. Dead period cranking up here, so lots of news over the weekend. To get to all of it, Sonny Shipp, Go 24/7, joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sonny, the weather wasn't awesome on Saturday. Did that compromise the ability to splash?
Well, I mean, I guess if you're gonna get wet anyway, right? What's the difference, huh?
Exactly. I think it was a success based on some of the things that I have read. You're a little new to the recruiting game, only 25 or so years in it, but people like to talk about 5 stars, so we'll go ahead and do a little bit of that here. Jonah Williams and Jamie French were kind of the headliners as far as uncommitted players that LSU was very much in the mix for entering this Bayou Splash. What can you tell us about those two guys and kind of their whereabouts over the last week?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Williams didn't. Williams
Right.
wasn't able to make it in, and so you even if you're not if you're one of those who is a casual football observer, but you're a huge baseball fan, then you've got interest in Williams because he's a guy who's going to play both sports when he gets to college. He's as high level as it gets. Unfortunately, though, he took in the Texas pool party on Thursday. Didn't make his way to Baton Rouge. There was some hope that he would be able to make it up before the dead period kicks in Wednesday at midnight, and still be able to hang with the staff a little bit. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen now ahead of his August 24th announcement. Now, he did make his official visit to LSU in June and stuff. But, any time you're supposed to get a kid on campus, especially of that caliber, and you don't get him on campus and things just kind of fall through, I think you kind of have to look at some of the writing on the wall with that one. And, Texas did a bang-up job of keeping him on campus a little bit longer. And, it's going to be interesting to see because going in, probably 2-3 weeks ago, he was kind of looked at as a Texas A&M lane. And then obviously you had the coaching change, Schloss jumps from A&M to Texas. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and whether Texas now all of a sudden kind of becomes the team to beat, the flavor of the month. But, I think with LSU, when you look at that star position that, Major Burns is probably going to occupy to start the season, kind of a safety / maybe somebody you can put down in the box too. I mean, Williams would have been that perfect fit. He's probably as closest to a guy like Jamal Adams that we've seen in the last few years, just with that size that he has, that speed, and just his playmaking ability. But Jamie French did make it in, the 5-star wide receiver. I think with that one, you're looking at more of a Texas LSU Miami battle than anything else right now. He left the Splash, did go down to Miami, and he's also supposed to commit late in August. And so that's another one I think, that you and I think when we talked about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, we were talking about all the 5-star receivers that LSU was in on. You had DeCorian Moore, you had Khalid Lockett, you had Jamie French. Well, I think French is probably the last one of that group that LSU still has a shot with. But I think this is also one that even if he makes his announcement in August, this is going to be one that's going to go down to the wire, just like a lot of these recruitments with these 5-star guys, because the NIL opportunities and offers are only going to increase with each passing month, leading up to the early signing period. And so, just like last year, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of madness with a lot of these guys late down the stretch.
So with these guys that are announcing late August and close to Labor Day, what is their schedule like for the next month? Are they allowed to go anywhere? How much conversation can they have with staffs? I mean, are they kind of locked in a room here for the next month, or are they able to kind of continue to foster that relationship?
Oh, they can foster those relationships through, they can talk on the phone as much as they want, the FaceTime, whatever other other mediums there are. The only thing that they're prohibited from is in-person contact. Like college coaches can't get out on the road, and then the prospects themselves, they can't visit the campuses either.
Okay, interesting.
So you've got a total dead period for that month.
All right, let's talk about Jalen Chapman. He was a commitment over the weekend, 2026 interior offensive lineman from Warren Easton. We know that Brad Davis has done an awesome job over the last 3 years of overhauling that position group. What can you tell us about Chapman?
Yeah, getting ready to head into his junior season at Warren Easton down in New Orleans. And he was a guy that Brad Davis offered, not this past June, but the one before he even started his sophomore year. Chapman worked out at camp for Davis. Davis offered him on the spot, and he's one of those guys that when you talk about an interior O lineman, an offensive guard type, you hear the term road grader a lot, because, that's what those guys do. They just plow through people trying to get to the second level. But I think with Chapman, the interesting thing with him is that he's not one of these 315, 325-pound interior guys. He's probably in that 285 range now. And so, he's one of those that instead of having to take the bad weight off of him, he's got that type of body to where, he might get to LSU at 295, 300, and then they can just really start to put that good weight on him. So I think he's a guy who has a really high ceiling, has even showed some ability to be able to play on the edge with Warren Easton. And, and when you look at this current offensive line class that LSU has in 2025, that's one of the common themes that you see with all of them, is that they either play tackle or guard. They either play tackle but can also play inside, or play inside but can also play tackle. So we've seen Davis and Kelly really start to focus on those versatile guys who aren't just pigeonholed to play in one position.
What are you going to be looking at as far as potential commitments, announcements, guys that may tip their hand here over the next month? Is there a player or two you have in mind?
Yeah, I think there's a few guys to keep in mind. Mike Tyler, he's a 3-star tight end out of South Carolina, and I know recruiting fans sometimes get caught up in the stars. We talk so much about the 4 and the 5 stars. But Mason Taylor was a 3-star when he came out of high school, and this guy reminds me a lot of Mason Taylor. I think last year he caught about 36 balls for a little bit over 500 yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns. But he's also a guy who can you can flex him out, but then you can put him down as an inline blocker, and so he can fill those roles that you really want a complete tight end to fill. I think he's a guy that you put on commitment watch. Rustin cornerback Aiden Anding, he's another guy that I would not be surprised if he popped before his senior season. LSU just offered him towards the end of June, and so they're still kind of going through that process of having to I guess kiss a little butt, smooth over some feelings of why they didn't offer sooner, and get things right there. And then also Philip Wright, the Michigan commit who from out of Destrehan, he just committed to Michigan a couple of weeks ago. He was at the Splash on Thursday, then he went up to Michigan. I think that's another case to where when we saw LSU put so much focus and emphasis on Khalid Lockett, DeCorian Moore, Jamie French, and some other guys, Philip Wright probably felt that he wasn't prioritized as much as he should. Now LSU is starting to prioritize him a little bit more. So once again, you got some feelings you got to smooth over and stuff there. But I think he's a guy that when you look at, it's just hard to see a Destrehan wide receiver going 850 miles, going 925 or 35, whatever it is, miles from home when you've got the tradition that LSU has, the pipeline that LSU has to Destrehan. There's just so many variables in play that Michigan is going to have to overcome when it gets really close to reality of him signing. That I think it's going to be tough for him to not. I think it's going to be tough for him to end up at Michigan and not end up at LSU. So those are 3 guys right there. But then I think you're going to see. With this month coming up, it is going to be a dead period in recruiting, but I think you'll start to see the staff put more focus and more emphasis on getting some of these 2026 kids on board, obviously dishing out the 2027 offers too.
If you're looking for recruiting coverage and team coverage as well, head over to Go 24/7. Glenn West will be with us tomorrow. Sonny Shipp, good enough to give us a little bit of time today. Have a great week, Sonny. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a good one.
Sure will. He is Sonny Shipp. We're talking about Destrehan, Michigan commit. Probably not going to go that far from home. Brings back Jai Eugene memories from my college days. Now Jai Eugene's kid is in high school, so that's kind of that makes me feel a little bit old, quite frankly. But that's kind of the way that feels. So interesting stuff there from Sonny Shipp. If you're looking for recruiting coverage, you can check it over there at Go 24/7. Or if you want to rehear that interview because you came in on it late, you can do so on demand. Hunt on LSU on YouTube, wherever you find your sound with the Hunt Palmer Show. All of our LSU content, though, always on our LSU channel on YouTube, Hunt on LSU. Speaking of LSU channel, and speaking of Jai Eugene, and generally speaking, the defensive back position at LSU, I was doing some research today, kind of prepping for camp, doing a little bit of writing as well, and stumbled across a kind of a disappointing statistic from last year. Most of the defensive statistics were disappointing last year, but I'll go a little bit further in depth with it when it comes to defensive back play. That's coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy, evolvept.com is the website. You can check them out, starring near Highland Road. Robbie Bolton, been a physical therapist nearly 20 years. And Evolve Physical Therapy is the physical therapy clinic in town. If you've been injured, whether it's being active, out playing a sport, whether you slept wrong, got into a car accident, and you're looking for physical therapy and just haven't had a great experience, check out Evolve Physical Therapy. I can promise you this with Robbie Bolton and his team. They're going to be hands-on the entire time you're there. They're going to be helping you go through the exercises, go through the stretching, go through the dry needling or the cupping or the soft tissue manipulation. You're going to have a member of his team, potentially Robbie himself, right there with you the entire time. They're not going to walk off because they're handling 5 people at once. They're not going to go handle paperwork and leave you over there on the bench doing whatever it is that you're doing. They're not going to send you home and say, hey, do these 5 and we'll come back tomorrow. Like, they're going to be hands-on throughout the process because they want to get you back to being your active self. And I asked Robbie, like, who are you looking to see? He said, well, look, we want active people. Whether you're a youth athlete or whether you're a 65-year-old that's just trying to get back out playing some golf or running like you want to. Robbie Bolton's looking for you, and he can help you get back to being your active self. It's Evolve Physical Therapy on Starring near Highland Road. Check them out online, evolvept.com, evolvept.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a...
On Tuesdays, OTB will continue to bring you the latest from Paris. How did Terra Club the Kristen Nuss do in match number 2? Plus, the latest from New Orleans Saints training camp and only a couple of days till the LSU Tigers strap it up. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Saints camp rolling on from Irvine. We'll talk to Sean Fazan coming up in an hour at the bottom of hour number 2 at 2:30 our time, 12:30 out west. They've had a chance to take in the first fully padded practice. Dennis Allen met with the media, probably some players as well. So we'll talk to Sean Fazan about all that coming up in an hour. Speaking of going to practice, I've often said this. A lot of you that are listening, most of you that are listening, have never been to an LSU football practice. And I think the thought of that, to most of you who are diehard fans and live and die with every Saturday in the fall, think of that would be such an incredible experience. And for some, it very well may be. I've been to enough of them now where it's not necessarily something that really gets my heart rate going. I've been pretty open about that. I'm there to get a little bit of information. If I can get a nugget here or there, it's fine. But it's certainly there are other things that are a little more captivating to me than watching football practice. Specifically, I'm talking about the first 15 minutes that we would get to watch under Les Miles, where literally the DBs backpedaled, the D linemen hit the sleds, the quarterbacks threw slant routes to the receivers, the offensive line did walkthroughs, and the kickers kicked over on the other field. It just, after you've seen that 185 times, there's just not that much to it. But I will tell you this. In my early years going out to LSU football practice, one position group was far more fun to watch than any other because of the energy that they brought and the swagger and edge they brought and just how captivating they were as a group. And I tell Brandon Taylor this on the pre- and post-game show for the network all the time about this because he was right in the middle of it. I started going to football practice in 2010. And for 3 years, 2010, 2011, 2012, I watched Patrick Peterson, Morris Claiborne, Tyrann Mathieu, Thorold Simon, Eric Reed, Brandon Taylor, just at Ron Brooks, absolute dudes come through there. And they were really good. They knew they were really good. And they acted like they were really good. And that was Ron Cooper's time. And as time moved on, you saw Jalen Mills and you saw Tre'Davious White and you saw Christian Fulton and Derek Stingley and Grant Delpit. And these were the guys that, and no matter who it was individually that year, it was the same edge. It was the same swagger. It was the same confidence. And that's DBU. That was one of the cool things about going to practice, was watching those guys work. And you understand now, as we sit here 3 days from fall camp, that LSU has dropped a couple pegs. A lot of pegs, quite frankly, if we're talking about last year, from that level of play, from that level of player. That list I just rattled off there were Thorpe Award winners and first-round draft picks and Pro Bowlers and All-Americans. And, that's what you got when you went out there. And last year, I ran across this statistic. I literally did the research and looked it up. LSU allowed half of the SEC quarterbacks it faced last year to set a season high in passing yards. Half. Now, I've given you that for a little bit of effect because one of those guys doesn't really count. I don't know that I'm going to give Jalen Henderson, who only started 2 games, full credit for that, but he did throw for more yards against LSU than he did against a rent-a-win opponent at home. But if you're looking at it, Jackson Dart set a season high for passing yards against LSU in that shootout. KJ Jefferson set a season high in passing yards against LSU for Arkansas. Brady Cook set a season high in passing yards for Missouri in a shootout. And Jalen Henderson set a season high in passing yards against LSU as the third-team quarterback for Texas A&M. Now, you'll look at that and you'll say, yeah, but LSU went 3-1 in those games. No big deal. And that's fine, but the fact of the matter is, as you well know, that you can't count on the Heisman winner and 2 first-rounders to bail you out every single time. And I was not shocked, not even surprised, a little bit disappointed to learn that 4 SEC quarterbacks out of 8 games set season high in passing yards against LSU. And the question is, like, how quickly can you fix that? You understand that Deuce Chestnut is gone. He's back at Syracuse playing safety. You know that Denver Harris is gone. He's at UTSA. LaTerrence Welsh transferred out. He's at Arizona State. Jeremiah Hughes was here for a year. He's gone to Michigan State. You welcome back Zy Alexander, hopefully at full strength after a leg injury. You bring back Ashton Stamps. You bring back J.K. Johnson. We'll see what happens with Javian Toviano. Not with the team right now. You bring in Zaire Brown, P.J. Woodland, Michael Turner, Bernard Causey, Wallace Foster, and you hope that there's a bit of an uptick in performance. I do take a little bit of solace. You know that Brian Kelly does not love to rely heavily on the transfer portal year over year. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to bring in high school players. And if you take out Zaire Brown, everyone in this cornerback room is either a high school prospect or in at least their second year at LSU. Zy Alexander's in his second year. J.K. Johnson's in his second year. Ashton Stamps was a high school enrollee. P.J. Woodland, high school. Michael Turner, high school. Bernard Causey, high school. Wallace Foster, high school. Like, this is what he wants the position group to look like. You bring in high school guys. You develop them. You bring in multi-year players. He doesn't want to live and die by Joe Fouché and Bernard Converse and Mekhi Garner. Show up in January, here for 15 months, gone. That's not the way he wants to do things. So you're going to theoretically get 2 years from Zy Alexander, 4 years from Ashton Stamps, 3 years from J.K. Johnson, 4 years from Javian Toviano, theoretically, 4 years from P.J. Woodland, Michael Turner, Bernard Causey, Wallace Foster. Now, I realize that's pie in the sky and that multiple guys I just listed are going to transfer. That's just the reality of the situation. But you can't have folks stay for a long time if they don't show up early. And these guys are showing up early. The question is, as I've said now 3 times, like, can they give you something close to the level that you've expected from LSU over the years? I have my questions. Now, I could paint you a picture where Zy Alexander returns and uses his length and experience playing at a higher level than he had in his college career and becomes a really good player. That Ashton Stamps takes a big jump from year 1 to year 2. We remember last year, this time, early August, like, Ashton Stamps kind of arrived on the scene. P.J. Woodland did that in the spring. Is he ready to go? Can J.K. Johnson and Zaire Brown overcome the injury issues that have plagued them for 3 years and be the 4-star top 100 recruits they were billed to be? It's possible. I just don't know that I'm ready to commit fully to buying into that. I think LSU is going to have their issues in the secondary. And I say that because we know what great looks like. I just gave you the example of what I watched for like 9 years at those practices. Like, that's what great looks like. I don't see a Thorpe Award winner here on this year's team this year. I don't see a first-round pick this year. I don't see a Pro Bowler. That's hard to forecast. You want to tell me P.J. Woodland at 165 pounds one day is going to be a Pro Bowler? Okay, I'll let you spin that tale. But right now, as I look at it, it looks like some guys who are coming off injury, some really young players, not a lot of skins on the wall. And it looks like a group that's going to have its struggles. And when you look like a group like that, and your first game is against a coach, the only one in college football that's coached 3 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in the last decade, it gives you an uneasy feeling. But I do trust Corey Raymond to continue to work with those guys, to get more out of them than we saw last year, where I think they were outmanned and undercoached. They may be a little bit outmanned this year. Maybe not, but they may be. I think they'll be well coached. That's at least my hope. Let's try not to allow half the SEC slate to set a season high in passing yards against this group. That's a goal to start with. That's a baseline to start with. Maybe only allow that to happen twice. Love it to happen none. We'll see. If you're looking for LSU content, you can find it on our YouTube channel, Hunt on LSU. Tonight, huge showdown in the Lone Star State between a couple of LSU icons. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. I was doing a lot of cooking last night. I got a couple of fantastic fillets, cooking those on the stovetop, doing a little sear and then into the oven. Had some mac and cheese going, also had some veggies we were working with. So I was in the kitchen for like 45 minutes working on all that. And the whole time, I was just jamming out some tunes because I've got the speakers right there in the ceiling in the kitchen. I can control the songs and the volume and everything that goes into it right there with the touch of a button on my phone. Delightful Sunday evening in the Palmer house, and that's all courtesy of the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. If you're sitting there just trying to, play music on your phone while you're in the shower, play music on your phone while you're outside, play music on your phone while you're in the kitchen cooking, it's just sitting there on the counter, don't do that. Get some high-quality sound going on in your home. Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions can certainly help you with that. This is Mitchell Fisher's cell phone number. He's the owner of the company. They're a local Baton Rouge company, and he can help you out through this entire process. He's at 225-439-7920, 225-439-7920. Their Instagram is avss_BR, and check them out online, avssla.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150, $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150, and all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscone. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best kept secret in
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap the Bayou Splash recruiting event, and we'll head out to Irvine to get a camp update from the Saints. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Look, if you're a business owner operating a business and you just got the first copier you could find, you might not have exactly what you need or what best suits your industry. No matter what industry you're in, whether it's healthcare, banking, law firm, media company, education, whatever the case may be, Trey Beal and the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products have multiple clients in that vertical market and know exactly what the needs in terms of printing, scanning, copying are for that operation. Give them a call and let them get you into the equipment that you need. Gulf Coast Office Products has the ability to service all of Louisiana, got an incredible amount of resources here in the capital city of Baton Rouge, and they're happy to help. Go to gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Trey Beal and the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products can certainly help you out. Big night tonight in Houston. Was texting a buddy of mine who has an obligation this evening with a work dinner, or he'd have been right there in the juice box tonight because Paul Skenes will toe the rubber there against the Astros. And, of course, Alex Bregman. Bregman coming off that huge walk-off home run against the Dodgers off the train tracks this weekend. And Skenes coming off his first loss. I'll be quite honest with you, Beck. When Skenes went to the Pirates, I was disappointed he was in my division, and I thought, man, that sucks. He's going to pitch against the Cubs a lot. But
the Pirates
on
stink.
a positive, he will pitch a lot against the Cardinals and hopefully dominate them. And he did pitch great against the Cardinals. He only gave up 2 runs in 8 1/3, but they lost, and that is unacceptable to me. So now, I kind of pull for Houston tonight because I don't want the Pirates to win there ahead of the Cubs. But I was disappointed that Skenes got the loss against the one team I actually wanted him to beat.
Yeah, it's whenever he got drafted there, we talked about it. Said, hey, it's gonna suck. We're gonna have to face him a lot, but the Pirates aren't good. But they're actually playing pretty well this season.
They've got a really good, exciting young group.
Yeah,
it's Skenes and Jared Jones on the mound. It's Cruz offensively, who's a freak of nature. O'Neal Cruz, and they've got some young prospects that are very, very good. They won't be able to hold on to them for very long, so you don't know, what the future may hold. But I think when I look at Houston and into the juice box tonight, in terms of purple and gold attire,
be a lot.
Over under on 2,100 people.
Probably so. Yeah, I know. I lived in Houston for a year and a half, and there is a very substantial LSU fan base there. And I would not be shocked to see a couple thousand people wearing some Skenes jerseys out there that aren't Pirates jerseys.
My buddy has a 5-month-old, and his 5-month-old had a Skenes jersey on over the weekend.
Yep.
So there's a lot of Skenes juice to be served around here. People were fired up about what Paul Skenes is doing. And if you're in Houston, big LSU fan, and want to see Bregman and, of course, Skenes, you can certainly go check that out tonight at the Juice Box. Question is, you think Skenes gets back on the horse and dominates once again tonight?
I do. The Astros are playing a lot better than they did earlier in the season.
Ooh, they were bad early.
Alex Bregman was not good early in the season. He is playing a lot better as well. I expect it to be a tight game, but I think Skenes is still going to have a great outing. He may give up a few runs, but I think he's still going to be as dominant as he has been.
Just got a message on my phone from Kenny. Says, I enjoy Skenes dominating the Cubs also. Well, you can shut up, Kenny.
That's not
cool.
cool.
It's a stupid post and a dumb comment, and I don't like it one bit because I don't like that at all. It hasn't happened in a while because he hasn't pitched against the Cubs.
Yep.
Yeah, I would expect Skenes to be fantastic again. It's just he's so good and he throws so hard. And that's it's the one thing. Steph Curry can miss some jumpers time and time again, and quarterbacks can miss some throws here or there, and golfers miss shots. But every time Paul Skenes shows up to work and takes the ball, he's going to throw 101. That's not going to take a day off ever. And that's a really good thing to be able to come to the ballpark and rely on. And he's got great command. The off-speed stuff's been fantastic. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the over-under is on Vegas for Skenes strikeouts today. I would imagine somewhere in the neighborhood of 8.5. I'll take the over unless it gets over 10.5. Anything under 10.5, I would be tempted to take the over just because he's pretty damn good. So as long as the Astros aren't banging trash cans this evening, I think Skenes will do quite well over there in the juice box. Hopefully a really good LSU contingent over in Hustletown this evening. Skenes against the Astros tonight. If you missed any of today's first hour, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound. You can always find us. Certainly can find us on YouTube as well, Hunt on Saints and Hunt on LSU. We opened the show with the Saints segment today talking about the defensive ends and kind of the development of Carl Granderson, potential development of Peyton Turner, Isaiah Foskey, what Chase Young's looked like. All those things are sound from Dennis Allen back over the weekend. So that was the lead off of today's show. Sonny Shipp was talking to us about the Bayou Splash. Where does LSU stand with Jamie French? Where does LSU stand with Jonah Williams? Who are some commitments he expects could come over the next couple of weeks? Sonny was great with a little bit of that information at 1:15. And then at 1:30, talked a little about DBU and LSU's cornerbacks and how they can go about trying to fix that room a little bit as we get closer to fall camp. So that's all of the first hour. Fired up for hour number 2 as well. When we come back after SportsCenter, college football top 25 players in the 21st century. Where does Joe Burrow rank on that list? He's not 1. He's not 2. Is he close to that? We'll talk about it in Sean Fazan with the Saints Report at 2:30. Come back after SportsCenter. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Tons of news on this Monday from the NFL. Texans defensive end Denico Autry hit with a 6-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. Multiple reports say Colts defensive end Samson Ebukam suffered a torn Achilles tendon. His season is done. He was the team's returning sack leader from a season ago. Lions left tackle Taylor Decker gets a 3-year, $60 million contract extension. More than $31 million is guaranteed. Major League Baseball's trade deadline tomorrow night, 6 Eastern. Dodgers, Cardinals, White Sox make a 3-team deal. St. Louis gets Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. Dodgers land infielder Tommy Edman and reliever Michael Kopech. White Sox also get a boatload of prospects. Kansas City gets right-handed starter Michael Lorenzen from the Rangers. Red Sox acquired 23-year-old former first-round pick Quinn Priester from the Pirates. U.S. women's basketball team about to tip off their group stage right now against Japan. The women have won 55 straight games at the Olympics. They're 22.5-point favorites. U.S. men's gymnastics takes bronze in the team event, their first medal since 2008. A guy in Clark Kent-type glasses, a.k.a. Pommel Horse Guy, secured the podium by doing his job. By the way, his name is Steven Nedorosik.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you starting your work week with us. We're just 3 days away from LSU starting out fall camp out on the Ponderosa. Very much looking forward to that. But it's still list season. It is still list season. We're going to talk a little list here. We'll chat with Sean Fazan from Fox 8 down in New Orleans. He'll be in Irvine in 30 minutes talking Saints camp. Bill Connolly, ESPN staff writer, writes a lot of thought-provoking things in the offseason, specifically in the summer. Gets into his SP Plus and gets into a bunch of rankings, ranking quarterbacks and teams and all kinds of things over the years. So he decided to jump in and try to name the top 25 players in the 2000s. So 24 years of football, he's trying to name the top 25 players of that time period. And so immediately at LSU, you're thinking, okay, we got a couple of chances to make that list. You got Burrow. You got Jaden Daniels, who also won a Heisman, and you've also got Glenn Dorsey, who is considered probably the best defensive player in LSU history. Certainly, I could try to make a case for Tyrann Mathieu here. I could try to make a case for Patrick Peterson here. But if you're talking top 25 players of the 24th century, you've got 24 Heisman winners. So it's going to be difficult to kind of crack through there and make your presence felt. And I was curious where things would end up. So I started to kind of look down the list. And I was a little surprised at number 1, I'll be quite honest with you. Ndamukong Suh came in at number 1 on this list, the best player of the last 25 years. He was a 09 Lombardi Award winner, 09 Outland Award winner, 09 Nagurski Award winner, 09 AP College Football Player of the Year. He was a Heisman finalist. He was pretty good. The most famous performance Suh had was in the Big 12 championship game against Texas in 2009. He had 7 TFLs and 4.5 sacks in one championship game. That's pretty good. And he didn't win the Heisman Trophy. But he's a good player, Ndamukong Suh. Number 2 on this list, I get it. He did it for a long time. He won the best award you can win. The statistics are really good, but I don't know. There are probably a few more quarterbacks I'd have first on this list before number 2, which is Baker Mayfield. 2017 Heisman winner, Maxwell Award winner, Walter Camp winner, Davey O'Brien, All-American in 17, All-American in 15. Like, yeah, it was impressive, but is he really better than some of the guys that you're thinking of at quarterback? The Tebows, the Vince Youngs, the Joe Burrows? I don't know if I can go that far. Baker Mayfield seems like a stretch to me. And then number 3 is Cam Newton. I would be hard-pressed to find a lot of people, if they were given one game to win at quarterback in the college level, that would take Baker Mayfield over Cam Newton. Like, Cam Newton at that point was the greatest phenomenon I had watched with my own 2 eyes on a college football field. And he comes in at number 3 on this list, and I get that. Number 4, Vince Young. I don't have any beefs. Like, Vince Young was really good. He was the 2005 Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. He threw for 6,000 yards and 44 touchdowns. He also ran for 3,100 yards and 37 touchdowns. He ran for 3,100 yards. That is doing work. I didn't even think to look up how many yards Leonard Fournette ran for in college, but I'm curious if he ran for more than Vince Young. Let's pull it up right here. Leonard Fournette, LSU statistics. I know that he ran for 1,000 in all 3 years, which is going to make him probably top Vince Young. But I'm curious. So if you look at the numbers, he didn't run for 1,000. He ran for 843 his last year. So if I run these numbers all together, this is just off the top of my head, wanting to figure this out. Plus, he had 1953 in that awesome year that he had, plus 843. So 3,800 yards for Leonard Fournette, who's, in my eyes, the best running back I've watched at LSU. And you look at Vince Young, who ran for about 700 less yards as a quarterback at Texas. That's pretty salty, meanwhile chunking it around a little bit. Vince Young, really good at 4. But then you start to get into some guys that I have trouble putting in front of Joe Burrow. You've got Ed Reed at Miami, number 5. Yeah, great player, awesome player, fantastic team he played on. And then you've got Reggie Bush at 7, who was fantastic and won a Heisman. Bryant McKinnie at 8. Like, I got Tebow. He comes in there at number 6, and that's that I got. But Bryant McKinnie, who was an incredible player, ahead of Joe Burrow, I don't know about that. Bryant McKinnie kind of had one job, just block that guy in front of you. Joe Burrow's piloting the greatest offense we've ever seen. I mean, Joe Burrow, and this comes from the piece, in his 2-game college football playoff effort, was 60 out of 88 for 956 yards. It's 2 games, 956 yards, 12 touchdowns, and no picks. That's pretty salty. I just don't know if Bryant McKinnie and Ed Reed are going to trump that for me. But Burrow comes in at 9. You got Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Suggs, Joe Thomas, Khalil Mack, and you got Aaron Donald, David Pollock, and I'm glad he was recognized here because he was a terror at Georgia. He's at 15. Deshaun Watson at 16. Roy Williams, 17. Kyler Murray at 18. Devontae Smith at 19. Lamar Jackson comes in at 20. Justin Blackmon at 21, who was really good, but, like, was he that much better? Like, you're going to need to be like Randy Moss for me to get you on this level with some of these quarterbacks and some of the guys we're talking about here. Justin Blackmon, for me, that's a bit of a stretch at 21. Will Anderson at 22. Tyrann Mathieu does make the list at 23. The text says the Honey Badger makes this list despite playing only 2 collegiate seasons, but he made the most of his opportunities. He posted some of the best numbers we've ever seen from a true freshman with 8.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 2 picks, 5 forced fumbles. And then he raised his game in playing a key role in one of the most iconic defenses ever and maybe the most iconic secondary of the 21st century, and I absolutely get that as well. Julius Peppers and Jonathan Taylor round out the list. As he writes the first 10 out alphabetically, Crabtree, Michael Freeney, Robert Gallery at Iowa, RG3, Calvin Johnson, Derek Johnson from Texas, Luke Kuechly, Trevor Lawrence, Marcus Mariota, and Christian McCaffrey. So no love for Glenn Dorsey on this list. But as I look at it, I have two beefs. Like, Joe Burrow is too far down at number 9. And quite frankly, Tim Tebow is too far down at 6. Tim Tebow was not the fastest. He didn't have the best arm. He wasn't the purest passer. But we're just talking about football players here. And that dude, do you know? I mean, I gave this as a question at Plucker's Trivia last week. So that's how I know this without looking it up. Tim Tebow is the SEC's all-time rushing touchdowns leader. Not Bo Jackson, not Herschel Walker, not Derrick Henry or Leonard Fournette, not Mark Ingram, not Darren McFadden. It's Tim Tebow. Now, I get it. He played 4 years. But that dude was incredible. And I'm just not... I know that Ed Reed was a better NFL player. Ed Reed's one of the greatest safeties who ever lived. He's one of the best football players who ever lived. But in college, on the field, if I'm going to let you start a team and you can either have Tim Tebow or Ed Reed, I think I know where I'm going here. The guy that takes the snap on every play. The guy that is the SEC's all-time rushing touchdowns leader. Who was the first sophomore Heisman winner. Like, that's the guy. So those are my two biggest beefs here. Beck, I'll kind of toss it to you. Like, am I crazy? Like, Tim Tebow being the 6th best football player of the last 25 years seems like you're trying too hard?
I don't know. I think so, but he was...
Because he was sucked for the Broncos?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what are we... Is this... I mean, it's like...
It's a college list.
Right, exactly. And so... You're not obviously it's not nothing. It have nothing to do with what you did in the NFL.
Yeah.
But inherently there's going to be biased, I think, just because of how bad he was in the NFL. So I agree with you, but I just think that there's.
I mean, it's not like Baker Mayfield's lit it up in the NFL, and he's number 2 on this list.
Yeah, he's been average quarterback in the NFL. So it doesn't really make much sense to me when Tebow literally dominated the entire sport for multiple years.
I just wonder, and we'll divert from the Tebow and Burrow talk to go over to Tyron for a second. I know that outside of the SEC, the folks that watch college football and are fans, maybe they're a big Michigan State fan, maybe they're a big Texas Tech fan, maybe they're a big North Carolina fan. Like, they're aware that Tyrann Mathieu was good, and they're aware that he's gone on to the NFL and been an All-Pro, and I think that people are aware of what Tyrann Mathieu is. I'm pleasantly surprised a little bit that he's remembered as fondly as he has been now that we're 13 years later, because not only was he great, but like Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson are mentioned on this list along with Justin Blackmon. And like, I don't know that I could tell you what separates those three guys from each other. They're big, they're fast, they caught a ton of balls, a ton of touchdowns. They were the best player of their tiny little era at wide receiver in the NCAA. And they went on to be first-round picks, and 2 had great careers and 1 didn't. But like, they don't necessarily separate themselves significantly. And Tyrann does not fit into any of these boxes with anybody else. You can't take Tyrann and compare him to the other corners. Tyrann is in a class of his own in terms of the playmaking ability that he brought every single day. And I'm glad that you don't have to just be an LSU fan to remember how transcendent his playing style was. Nobody else plays like that or has since. And I'll be quite frank, like, I don't expect to see anybody that plays like that moving forward. I vividly remember being down on the field for the LSU-Arkansas game at the end of that 2011 season. If you remember that game, Arkansas scored a touchdown early. Wilson threw it, I think, to Childs over the middle. And then LSU ran a toss play to Michael Ford, and he got hit in the backfield, and the ball popped up in the air, and Arkansas caught it on the run and ran it in for a touchdown to go up 14-0 of that game. And then Tyrann ran the punt back, which you all remember, and that spurred this absolute tidal wave, and LSU completely and utterly annihilated Arkansas the entire rest of the way. It was a complete mismatch on both sides of the ball the rest of the game. And I was writing at the time, and I went down on the field for the end of the fourth quarter, as we always did, to get down there and beat the crowd that's running out so we can get down there for press conferences at the end of the game. So we generally watch like the last 5 minutes of the game from the field. And the game was well decided. The crowd was thinning out a little bit. There were probably some backups on the field. Like, the outcome was decided. And Arkansas completed a pass over the middle of the field, and he started running, whoever the receiver was. And all of a sudden, Tyron wraps him up and just took the ball away. And I'm standing on the sideline, and I look up and I go, he did it again. He just took the ball away from the guy. And that just doesn't happen ever anywhere else. And I could not believe my eyes that I was seeing this, not for the first time, for like the fourth time on that 2011 season. Just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm glad that he's remembered as fondly as we do here from folks on the outside. Because if you look at him statistically with like tackles or pass breaks ups or any of that kind of stuff, like his statistics aren't going to do you're not going to be able to pull up the Ndamukong Suh TFLs and sacks and compare that with Tyron. You're not going to, it's a different type of player. It was more about playmaking and pizzazz and energy creating than it was just pure statistics. And I'm fascinated by the fact that 13 years later, he still makes this list towards the back end. Tyrann Mathieu on the list. Joe Burrow at 9, which is too low. And I gave you the players that I think he should have trumped on the list. But nonetheless, that's the list. If you want to check it out, you can see it over on ESPN.com. All right, we got plenty to get to. 15 minutes from now, we'll go out to Irvine and talk some Saints. Don't go anywhere. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments all summer long. The exclusive Sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the summer. So new users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll continue to bring you the latest from Paris. How did Terra Clothing Kristen Nuss do in match number 2? Plus, the latest from New Orleans Saints training camp and only a couple of days till the LSU Tigers strap it up. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Good news for Garrett Nussmeier and Kyron Lacey. Those two guys named to the Maxwell Award watch list. It is watch list season. We'll get a lot of those coming out over the next week. And those two guys on the list for the best player in college football. See quite a number of LSU players on the watch list moving forward. But for those two guys who should have really big breakout years as their predecessors have moved on, it's very good news for them. I want to spend a lot of time coming up in 10 minutes with Sean Fazan on a lot of things that he's seen and his impressions from things that have happened on the field. So I'll get to the news and notes part of this that we heard from Dennis Allen today before we get to Sean coming up in 10 minutes. So a couple of things that I'm gleaning from Twitter as I kind of scroll through when Dennis Allen met with the media about an hour ago. Chase Young was cleared fully to participate on the 22nd of July. Dennis Allen said they're going to kind of ramp him up. So he's been out there. He was out there today. Dennis Allen said he got a little too close to the quarterback for his liking in the bull rush portion of some of the drills today. So Chase Young's out there doing the pass rush drills, got the pads on. That's fantastic news for New Orleans with the progression of Chase Young coming off of that neck procedure. The guy that has become the it guy of training camp early on is Mason Tipton, the wide receiver from Yale. I will talk to Sean Fazan about what he's seen from him in 10 minutes, but Dennis Allen did compare him today to former Broncos cornerback Chris Harris and how he stood out as an undrafted free agent, said every day he did something to catch your eye. There's some video on the Twitterverse of Mason Tipton winning some routes against Delonte Taylor. Just a really crisp route runner, very effective and efficient in his movements. He's caught everything that's been thrown his way. So very good early season camp for Mason Tipton. Nick Saldiveri is dealing with a calf injury. He's trying to win a starting job at offensive guard. He's got some significant competition there. So we'll talk to Sean Fazan about what that means for Nate Saldiveri at this point. Dennis Allen said that he was concerned but not losing a lot of sleep over Marshawn Lattimore's hip flexor injury. The term that was used in terms of Lattimore's return was sooner rather than later, so would expect to see Lattimore here over the next week or so to get back into camp. Trevor Penning said he spent time this offseason working with Terran Armstead on technique and the mental approach to the game, so that's an interesting piece of information there as well. The Saints have been okay from an injury perspective. Sure, you'd like to have Kendre Miller out there. How close is he to returning? I'm not sure. Yeah, you'd like to have Marshawn Lattimore out there. No, you don't want Nick Saldiveri to go down. But you've had today even multiple season-ending injuries across the NFL. The Cowboys lost a defensive end today. You've seen some guys with Achilles and knees that have gone down that are going to miss the entirety of the season. You have not seen that at all from New Orleans. You'll knock on wood there and hope that certainly doesn't happen. I was a little disappointed, quite frankly, in the amount of soft tissue injuries that went on while they didn't have pads on. That's just kind of part of it. You got a lot of guys out there, and you're going to have some guys that deal with some injuries. But you haven't seen any projected high-level starters or any long-term injuries to this point. And Trajan Jeffcoat went down and was in a lot of pain last week, but I don't know how significant his role is or will be, could be on the Saints team. It's a fairly healthy club at this point as we try to make the turn towards August. That is destined to change when they put the pads on and start going a little bit more aggressively. Destined to change when you get into joint team practices. Destined to change when you get into preseason games. And I was listening to Aaron Rodgers talk on podcast earlier this weekend, and I heard him say, like, it used to be a lot worse at training camp. We used to be locked in there for so long. We used to play in the preseason games. Now nobody really plays in the preseason games. You've got a starting spot locked up, and there's just so much care and so much attention to detail in terms of trying to keep guys out of the training room, trying to keep guys on the field. Whether or not you think it helps or doesn't, it's the new wave of the game. And you're trying to get guys reps, and you're trying to get guys out there, but you're also trying to protect them and not have them get banged up and hurt. The Saints have done a pretty good job of that to this point. We'll see what Sean Fazan thinks about all of that moving forward. I do want to get, for sure, Sean's thoughts on Mason Tipton. I want to get his thoughts on Kendre Miller and making this team. I want to get his thoughts on the backup quarterback, because that's a battle that he's been fascinated by. Of course, Jake Haener announced last week that he's dealing with a form of skin cancer that appears to be treatable, and that he should be able to make a full recovery from it, but they're waiting on a timetable when they can operate on that. I want to get his thoughts on Bryan Brzez's injury. You've had a foot that's given him some trouble. He missed some time. When is he expected back, and how severe is that injury? You always hesitate when you see a big guy and an offensive lineman, defensive lineman dealing with a foot injury. Those can tend to be things that linger. They can tend to be really serious. So you hope that everything's okay there with Bryan Brzez and his foot injury. Those are kind of my main takeaways from what I want to get from Sean Fazan. The Saints out there in Irvine, they've got an off day coming up on Thursday, so 2 more days in full pads, and then they'll take a day off out in Southern California. We're inching closer to that first preseason game, and I would anticipate we'll see a lot of Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener in that first preseason game. So looking forward to all of that. All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, Sean Fazan will join us from out in Irvine. He's covering the Saints for Fox 8. He's with us next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
There is a tropical disturbance out there in the Atlantic near the Caribbean. Those are inevitable. And in our part of the world, it's just best to be prepared for them. Time to think about a home standby generator from Boudreaux's Electrical is not when the storm's already gone through and you've got damage and you've got power outages and you've got a hot, dark house. That's not the time to think about this. Time to think about it is now. You make the call, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, and you get the process started today to get that home standby generator put at your home. Maybe you work from home and you can't have power outages that knock the internet out and don't allow you to communicate or get the work done you need to get done. We'll get the standby generator from Boudreaux's Electrical. So when that afternoon storm comes through, it's a nuisance that knocks the power out for 45 minutes or an hour and a half, you're protected. And even worse, when the hurricanes come through and knock the power out for a week, you're going to want to have a Generac generator at your home. Every single Boudreaux's electric generator comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty on the product. All of them are installed with the greatest care, the highest quality in copper and tubing and wiring, and it's done majority underground so that it's not unsightly, and it's there for you when you need it. Give yourself the peace of mind of that Generac home standby generator. Call the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical, 985-397-1562, or check them out online, boudreauxelectrical.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Skenes inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap the Bayou Splash recruiting event, and we'll head out to Irvine to get a camp update from the Saints. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Saints put on the full pads today out in Irvine, California. Sean Fazan out there with the team for Fox 8, joining us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline to talk a little black and gold. Sean, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. Nice and, I don't think 80 degrees out here in L.A., so we're enjoying ourselves.
Don't rub it in, but we appreciate you joining us a little bit. Look, any of the injuries so far appear to be significant in the sense that they could linger into the season, or is it just a lot of camp bumps and bruises to this point?
Right now, we'll categorize it as bumps and bruises, but, DA was asked about Marshawn Lattimore today, and he said, it is a little concerning, but I'm not losing sleep over it. He's dealing with that hip flexor. He's a guy who's dealt with injuries the last couple seasons, so kind of put it in that category for now, but if it lingers into the regular season, then obviously there would be a situation. Saldiveri leaving with a calf injury today is interesting because he dealt with that calf injury a lot last offseason, last training camp, and it lingered into the season. And he was getting first-team reps at left guard, but kind of been rotating in and out with Lucas Patrick the last 3 or 4 practices, so that's something to certainly watch. And then Brian Brzez's foot injury, didn't get much detail on that. Obviously, he's one they have high hopes for, and it's going to the second season with the Saints at defensive tackle. But he hasn't been available the last couple of days, so I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Let's talk about that battle at guard between Saldiveri and like, how do you handicap that as we're this early in camp?
I would look. They went into camp with Saldiveri as the first team, but fairly quickly Lucas Patrick was rotated in. Now in those first team reps, Saldiveri's getting the last 2. But the problem with that is because Lucas Patrick is also the second-team center, so they're not just going to let him go all first-team reps at guard and all second-team reps at center. So if I were handicapping it right now, it appears to me that Lucas Patrick, the veteran, may be slightly ahead in that battle. We were kind of hoping to see what they would look like in pads. Got a little bit of Saldiveri, but then he exited practice early, and Lucas Patrick's getting the majority of those reps. So if I had to guess right now, I would probably put it at Lucas Patrick with the first team.
Let's talk backup quarterbacks. How heavily contested is that spot?
Contested. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Both guys have made plays when they've gotten opportunities to run with twos. Today was Hayner's turn. He had a big-time connection to Mason Tipton. Saturday was Spencer Rattler's best practice as a Saint. He ran with the twos that day. So they've been battling back and forth. Two extremely confident players, productive players. Hayner had a really good training camp last year, but it kind of faded a little bit once the preseason started. I think preseason is going to be the thing that really determines the winner of that QB2 battle.
Let's talk Chase Young. I think when he was signed and the neck ailment came out, the thought was he might miss a couple of weeks of training camp. It appears that he hasn't missed much of anything. What have you seen from him?
Look, that's probably the biggest development of today was that he'd been doing some stuff off to the side, but in their first day of pads, he did some teamwork. He was in on 3 plays, ran with the second team, got 2 pressures. Dennis Allen said after practice that the timeline for his recovery may have been accelerated a little bit due to the work that he, did in recovery and rehab, and obviously surgeon and the work they did, and then obviously with the training staff. So to me, that was easily the biggest development today was Chase Young not just participating but doing well, and the fact that he appears to be quite a bit ahead of schedule is great news for the Saints because he's got the potential to be a big-time player now at the defensive end position. So that was a huge development for the Saints today.
Well, let's handicap that edge spot. Obviously, Granderson had a great year last year and has signed that extension. Cam Jordan did not have a productive year last year. You bring in Chase Young. How do you think that looks right now?
Well, so far it's been Cam and Carl as the 2 first-team defensive ends. And then when it goes second team, it's been Peyton Turner, who's quietly had a pretty good camp the last couple of practices as well, and Isaiah Foskey with the second team. Today was the first day we saw Chase Young rotate in with the second team. He got, like DA said, 3 plays during that team session. So at least for now, it's Cam and Carl. But if Chase Young continues to show out and be the type of pressure player that he's been throughout his career when he's been healthy, he can stay healthy. It's gonna be hard to keep him off the field. Like I said, Peyton Turner's done pretty well. Isaiah Foskey still got ways to go, but he had a couple moments in the first couple of practices before the pads came on. So that'll be a fun one to watch as well when the preseason gets here.
Is there a chance that Chase Young cuts into Cam Jordan's playing time as opposed to Carl Granderson's?
Yes, I think that's possible. If he can prove he can get after the quarterback, especially on passing situations and third down, I think that's possible as well. And look, there's also times where Cam kicks inside in certain passing situations. I know last year, towards the back end of the year, he was really limited to first and second down. I think all options would be on the table when it came to that because they've got to get better at that pass rush spot. And, you bring in a guy like Chase Young to do just that. So I do think that would be a possibility, especially with how well Carl Granderson seems to have just kind of improved each and every year. So it'd be hard to keep him off the field as well. So, yeah, I certainly think that's a possibility.
Sean Fazan's our guest, Fox 8 in New Orleans. He is out in Irvine. Saints put the pads on for the first time today. The it guy of camp to this point has been Mason Tipton. What can you tell us about what you've seen from him?
Well, ball goes his way, he catches it. He had another big play today, and it's usually a deep ball that he catches. He had 2 huge catches from Spencer Rattler Saturday, another one from Nathan Peterman on Saturday. He caught a touchdown one of the earlier practices, either the second or third practice from Nathan Peterman. On a deep ball. And then today, kind of ran a double move up the field, and Jake Hayner hit him in stride for another big play. So he's not just making plays, he's making big plays, and he certainly caught the attention of Dennis Allen. He compared him to Chris Harris, who obviously the other side of the ball, but a guy no one really knew a whole lot about, but all of a sudden just kept making play after play after play. He's a little undersized, he's about 5'11", but he's got speed. And when the ball goes his way, he makes a big play. So he's definitely gotten noticed the first, 5 practices of camp here.
All right, one more player before we get to some big picture stuff. I mean, what's Kendre Miller's situation, and what does this all mean?
Hasn't been out since the first day of work, where he was doing some drills, warm-ups, actually right in front of us, and all of a sudden he walks over to the trainer, points to his hamstring. They have a little discussion, and he exits practice. DA was asked about it afterwards. He was not happy. He says the player's got to keep himself healthy. I think it's a little bit more of a learn how to be a pro type situation, take care of your body as opposed to any kind of freak football injury. So he's been spotted here and there, just kind of off doing some rehab work. But for the most part, we haven't seen much of him since that early part of the first practice. So as of now, he's getting his rehab in, and hopefully he'll be back on the field at some point.
How do you handicap his ability to make the team and be an impact player this year?
I mean, going in, I think a lot of people had high hopes for him to not just be make the team, but be the second running back. I mean, coming off the year Jamal Williams had a season ago, which wasn't very productive, and he's getting a little bit older in his career. They drafted Kendre Miller in the 3rd round to be a guy that can contribute. And that soundbite from Dennis Allen after the first practice, that answer was kind of it caught a lot of people off guard, because it wasn't just he's got to get healthy, he's got to learn how to get healthy to make the team. It's kind of what he was talking about there. So I don't know if he's in jeopardy yet, but certainly something that's probably be in his best interest to get healthy in a hurry.
No question about that. All right, you've seen a lot of training camps, a lot of Sean Payton, a lot of Drew Brees, a lot of Pete Carmichael. Can you give us any appreciable defense on the offensive side through a week and change?
Absolutely. I mean, if you really watch, it's been fun to watch kind of how this offense is diagrammed and the concepts that come together with the basic premise of running that wide zone, running the football to the edge. And when you watch how the blocking scheme, how it all comes together, and then what they do off of that when it comes to bootlegs and the underneath drags, the over routes, the backside in cuts, it's really been something to watch. And when you kind of watch it get installed day in and day out, you see why this offense has so much success, because of they're very deliberate in what they want to do, and they make no bones about what they want to do. That's run the outside zone, run the wide zone, and then do everything off of that. So it's been fun to watch.
I saw a very picturesque video of you and Juan Kane out there and Talking Saints out there by the water. Tell us where you can find all your content as y'all are out there at camp.
Yeah, well, we got all of our stuff at fox8live.com, Fox 8, 4, 5, 9, and 10, and then our YouTube channel, the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. We have our latest one up talking about, it was the All-State podcast. We did kind of recapping what was going on, big picture stuff with the Saints, and find that on our YouTube channel as well. So check it out. We're everywhere. We're here for the long haul.
Enjoy the weather and the football. Thanks, Sean.
All right, bud.
He's Sean Fazan, Fox 8 down in New Orleans, talking a little bit of Saints. You're looking for our Saints content, you can always find it at Saints Hunt on Saints on YouTube. That segment right there. Go up on Hunt on Saints a little bit later this afternoon. So if you're looking for Saints content, as they are a little bit further away than LSU will be here coming up on Thursday, you can always find it on YouTube or wherever you find your audio on demand. We'll take a time out. When we come back, we'll close things up a little, take it or leave it on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Always want you to visit LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino. Awesome place to watch the games. Great food, huge screens, and that's a fantastic way to do your gaming. But also on the app is fantastic as well. Get the Pin Play app and play Cover 5. You're going to want to get your feet wet with Cover 5 before football season comes, because it's going to be a fantastic time to play Cover 5. You just got to go to your app store and download the Cover 5 app. You got to sign up for free and complete all those fields that are there. But once you get into the app, you'll sense how much fun it is. You can register for the Covers app, select the upcoming Pin Play contest for that week. Contests are Tuesday to Monday. You can make your picks, select your 5 teams. You can change up until the start of each individual game, and then you can check your score on the leaderboard throughout the contest. The top 15 weekly scores are going to be eligible to win Pin Cash every single week. Winners are going to be notified via email listed in the Pin Play account within 7 days of the end of each weekly contest. It's going to be a really, really fun way to play a little this football season, and that's very, very quickly approaching as we've got the Hall of Fame coming up here, Hall of Fame game coming up here on Thursday. So download that app today and go ahead and visit LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino. That is your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-770-STOP.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. but our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll continue to bring you the latest from Paris. How did Terry Clothing Kristen Nuss do in match #2? Plus, the latest from New Orleans Saints training camp, and only a couple of days till the LSU Tigers strap it up. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the mic icon to send us your thoughts in audio form. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench, the Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review. Speak up, tell us your location, and be heard. Find our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. For direct links, visit 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Got Great Britain and USA women's rugby in the Olympics going on right now on the TVs in here. And they're getting after it. This is full contact, no pads here. I don't want any part of that. I don't want getting hit with no pads on.
No.
That's just not fun. I was the dork loser kid growing up that didn't want to play all the games because I didn't want to get tackled. I was all-time quarterback, two-hand touch, and one of the only guys that I know that didn't break his arm playing tackle football or any of the other games that you play. I can't think of a good way to say the game that we used to play where everyone tries to tackle one person.
Well, it was like pick up sticks?
Yeah, but you just, that. But I didn't want to play that either, and I don't want to play rugby either. But I'm glad these women are having a great time doing it, and I hope the U.S. wins. It looks like they're crushing right now. I don't know if 17-9, is that the score? 17-7?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a lot or a little.
That's not too much in rugby. I think
kicking some points and getting some 6-pointers. All right.
They call it a try, Hunt, when you score a touchdown.
Try. Good.
Yeah,
Get a try, America. Let's get a try.
Yep.
Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Tell you every single week. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them. Best of both worlds. They've got a ton of resources and capability. They can service you statewide here with your printing, scanning, copying needs. They've got over $1 million of inventory right here in Baton Rouge. And they've also got an incredible sales team your rep is going to have a great relationship with you. They're going to you're able to get them at the touch of a button. They're fantastic people over there. And if you haven't given a lot of thought to your printing, scanning, copying needs, or why you have the printer, scanner, copier that you have, give Gulf Coast Office Products a call, and they'll let you know what you need to have. They are experts in that field. They help us out at Guarantee here. All of our printing, scanning, copying is done through Gulf Coast Office Products, so check them out online, gcopnet.com. All right, Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one here. Twisters the movie. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. My wife and I's first trip to the movies in quite some time. I went and saw Oppenheimer a little while back, but she didn't want to go see that, so I went solo to that one. It was pretty good. Do I think it's going to win the Academy Award for Best Picture?
Probably not.
I don't. Do I think that it was the greatest movie I've ever seen? I don't. Do I think it was a solid 6 or 7 out of 10? Like, fine, entertaining for what it was, and maybe not completely believable, but it worked out? Yeah, I think that was fine. I enjoyed it. I had seen the previous one. I think the first Twister was the first movie the Palmers ever rented with DirecTV.
Really?
DirecTV came out.
Oh, yeah, pay-per-view?
I was in middle school, and you could buy the movie for like 99 cents or whatever it was.
Right, yep.
I think Twister was the first one we ever did that with.
Wow.
And I remember that because I remember Helen Hunt was the lead. I had never heard of Helen Hunt. Of course, my mom's name is Helen. My name is Hunt. I was like, oh, there's a person named Helen Hunt. That's incredible. I don't know that I thought it was an incredible movie, but I thought this was pretty good. It worked out. We enjoyed it.
Were you scared when you saw the first one? Were you scared of like watching it?
I don't recall being scared. Like, I remember vividly being a little bit scared watching E.T. as a youngster because E.T. was a little scary to me. And then, like, my mom made me watch The Exorcist when I was in middle school, and that was the worst decision of all time.
Why would she make you watch
Very poor
that?
decision making by her. Very poor decision making by me. It was awful. I couldn't sleep for a week. I'll tell you this though, my wife wanted snow caps in her popcorn.
Yeah, I've heard of this before.
Well, the theater didn't have snow caps.
Yeah.
So we walked out of the
gotta
theater
go to
and went to the gas station to try to find snow caps, and they didn't have them.
You got to go to
in
the
my
CVS
opinion, this
hunt.
is a massive waste of time. We did go to CVS, and they didn't have them either.
Really?
And no, I didn't even know what snow caps were. We don't need
You
snow
never had
caps.
snow caps?
Just get whatever they have in the theater. It's fine.
Well, the problem with the theater is it's way more expensive. That's why you got to go
But
to
we're
the
already
CVS
there.
before.
I mean, if we're going to cost ourselves $4 here, it's going to happen. We've made the decision we're going out. It just is what it is. We got to spend the $4 extra on the chocolate. We make it work. I didn't even have anything. So,
Wow.
you know, I mean, that's not great. I would rather have a bucket of Coke.
Yeah, you
We're
gotta
trying
have
to do things a
something.
little bit more.
Yeah, you got to be healthy.
Trying to do a little bit better. So
Good.
we didn't
Good.
do anything for the theater. But I enjoyed the movie. I thut it was fun.
All right, next one here. The UL Monroe Warhawks unveiled new helmets for the upcoming season with inspiration from World War II fighter planes. Take it or leave it.
So I'm pulling this up for the first time. You're going to get an off-the-cuff reaction from the uniform czar here. Is what my first, without seeing it, my first instinct is I'm probably not going to love it. Now I'm looking at it. They're the Warhawks, which is not a real thing because they had to change their team name. I don't like it.
Really?
I don't like it.
Hunt, these are universally being well received.
I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's supposed to be like a fighter jet. It's supposed to be like a Warhawk, which is not a real thing. It's got teeth. I can't tell if it's a shark or a lizard.
Have you never seen the World War II fighter planes with the that's like the design they have, like on the front of the nose?
What is ULM's tie to World War II here?
They're the Warhawks, Hunt.
That's not even a thing. There is no
I know.
Warhawk. So I
look,
don't
it's
like
just it's just cool, Hunt. Okay,
I don't
it's
like
just cool. All right, moving on. Diana Taurasi, as we mentioned last week, playing for the Olympic team in the Olympics this year, and she was in the starting lineup for their game today against Japan. Take it or leave it.
Didn't she have some comment about saying that like plenty of people in their professions do a great job at 40 years old?
Yeah,
she
this
said
is
something
different,
like
though,
that
I
over the
think.
weekend.
It's a little bit different.
A lot different because no one in the Olympics other than her and LeBron are 40 years old. So I don't see it as I don't think it's what and what with accountants
Yeah,
and
a little bit
sales
different. I think
reps
it's a little
and
different.
dentists. I don't think it's the same. Sure, you can do that at 40. A little harder to play basketball with the best players in the world. So I don't know that was necessarily a great comment by her. But I hope she plays great today. Drops 50 points. That'd be great.
It's halftime right now. The U.S. are up by 11 against Japan, and she has 2 points. So
get her out.
Take her out. Put
Call
somebody
Caitlin
else.
Clark.
Get Caitlin Clark on a plane. Ship her over there to Paris.
Saw
so
a
she can
stat
play.
today. Caitlin Clark already has more assists than 75% of the players who have ever played in the WNBA.
Wow.
She's played half a season.
That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Last one here. LSU is hiring a field turf manager for Tiger Stadium. Hunt, you're the man for the job. Take it or leave it.
I'll tell you. If you go to my backyard right now, I said I'll tell you, not I'll take it.
Okay, well, you're
because
going to
if
take
you
it,
looked
though.
in my backyard right
No?
now, you would suggest I'm probably not the man for the job.
Okay, well, that doesn't mean you can't handle, Tiger Stadium.
I mean, I can't handle anything. I'm qualified, and I'm not even really qualified to do this, I don't think. I'm qualified for almost nothing. I cannot really do anything. And I certainly can't manage the turf. I could mow it, but it wouldn't be mowed properly, and I certainly couldn't fix it after a game or paint it or anything that has to be done.
Well, that's what you hire people for, Hunt. You're just going to be the manager.
I mean, at that point, I guess I can do that. I can find someone who's managed a golf course somewhere
Yeah,
and tell them to
exactly.
go take care of the turf. Yes, if that's what the job entails, hiring people and never doing anything of substance at all, I can do that,
Yep.
yes.
There you go.
That's it. Take it or leave it. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can find us. Sonny Shipp joined us to talk about the Bayou Splash at 1:15. Sean Fazan from out in L.A. at Saints Camp at 2:30. Some Saints sound from Dennis Allen. LSU cornerback talk. It's all there on YouTube. 2 channels, Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. Excited for tomorrow's show. Be back here at 1 o'clock. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. Have a great Monday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Érase una vez un Infinity, diseñado para despertar tu imaginación y desafiarte a soñar.